everyone, and welcome back to episode 9 of my F1 2017 McLaren Honda Career Mode, guys. And if you did miss out on the last episode, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. You know, it was sort of one of those races where there was a big incident at the start. You know, that's sort of all I really want to reveal before, you know, we get on into this video. But obviously, if you did watch the last episode, you will know that I opted to, you know, almost throw away the European Grand Prix at Baku, because obviously hugely long straight, so I wouldn't really stand much chance anyway. So I opted to go with a huge host of old engine parts that, you know, try and just up the wear on them before, you know, we move on into our third engine of the season. 9 rounds in and we're already on our third engine. We're definitely going to be using a lot of spares further on down the line. But yeah, let's move on then into the Austrian Grand Prix. One of my favourite circuits actually on the calendar, to be honest. And unfortunately, it was a very, very wet affair here at Austria. I actually failed the track acclimatization lap there. But moving on to the tyre wear, I was actually able to get fully purple there. The rain seemed to suit the tyres for me. You know, it usually means you are ever so slightly better on the tyre wear. And then moving on into the fuel saving here. Quite a difficult one, you know. I know a lot of people are struggling on this. So I might try and make a guide about how, you know, you can get better there. But out of the horrible tight turn 2 there and failing to hold the back end in one piece there. Unfortunately making a bit of a mistake there. That, you know, really knocks back the confidence there. And unfortunately meant I failed the fuel saving test there. But moving on then to the qualifying simulation run. Through the final corner we go, and we are able to get the green score there in the end. So a mixed bag of results there from free practice. Able to do some good and also some bad. But let's have a look then obviously at the R&D points we were able to take home from that. Desperately need a huge boost of R&D over the next few races. We are just running so low at the moment. We've got 150 in there to help us out, but, you know, upgrades are looking at about 1,000 per upgrade at the moment. You know, we're going to try and get some of the, making the upgrades cheaper as well. But let's move on then into qualifying instead of worrying about upgrades, as we run massively wide on the end of our first run here. Coming down towards the line, we are going to go up into provisional P4 there, actually going quicker than Marcus Ericsson, which, you know, we sort of really hope for in this series. But having a look on the live timings, and it was actually looking like Stoffel Van Dorn was just ever so slightly quicker than me at this moment in time during the session. So I had to go out for another run on the tyres there. And we were down to P18 and P19 at this moment in time, if I'm not mistaken there. And, you know, we really desperately needed to go out for a second run here. So on towards the, you know, halfway around our second run, you can see we are up a little bit on at my delta time as we come through towards the final sector here. But running a little bit wide over the curbs there, and the back end just got launched to the sky over that yellow curb. That's definitely one that we're going to have to try and avoid during the race. But, you know, we can't really afford to, you know, bail out fully from qualifying here. We're going to have to try and flick the car around, get all the dirt and gravel off the tyres as quickly as we can. We've just about got enough fuel to go for a second run here. And, you know, this could, you know, this is sort of make or break my whole weekend, really, you know, in the early stages here. We need to get a much quicker time on the board. So we're coming through the final corner. Going to try and go for a better run here, you can see. And down towards the line, you know, we've got an ever so slightly better run out down towards turn 1 there, which is going to instantly give me an extra half a tenth advantage. Through turn 1, nice and tidily there, and getting a little bit of snap of oversteer on the exit of the corner. But further around, you can see we're coming down to this horrible corner once more here. Tend to actually quite like that corner, but those curbs are definitely out to get you on F1 2017. But with so much grip on the car around a track like Austria, is absolutely wonderful to drive. You know, if you really nail the lap, it is so rewarding. But down in towards the final double right-hander here, and then, you know, we're miles up on my delta as we come through the final corner. They're running a little bit wide over the curbs there, but down towards the line, and we're going to move up into P17 there, a little bit, you know, demotivated that we were only able to go up one position. But that was the end of qualifying for the Austrian Grand Prix there. And unfortunately, actually for me, there was quite a big surprise where one of the Saubers of Marcus Ericsson was actually able to just about edge me out there at the end of qualifying. So a little bit uneasy, you know, that the Saubers are really bringing up the pace there. But Van Dorn starts at the very back. But let's move on then, guys, into the Austrian Grand Prix.
This is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Kimi Räikkönen starts today from pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Bottas, Lance Stroll and Perez, Ricciardo, Ocon, Verstappen and Roman Grosjean, Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Carlos Sainz and Kvyat, Massa, Palmer, Marcus Ericsson and a McLaren. Wehrlein and Stoffel Van Dorn completes the grid.
So here we are then, guys, on the grid, ready for the Austrian Grand Prix. Gonna do what I like to do in this career mode, as some of you know that have been watching a lot of the episodes will see. I like to go very, very long in the first stint of the race on a set of soft tyres here. But ready on the grid, ready for the Austrian Grand Prix. And it's 5 lights, ready for the start of the race, and it's lights out, and away we go, and once more, off to a very, very wheel-spinny start there, nearly running into the Sauber of Pascal Wehrlein just alongside me, but down in towards turn 1, going to brake as late as I dare, down the inside of a handful of cars there, Palmer and both Renaults there, Massa on the outside, gets caught out by Kvyat there as he squeezes him out wide, and now we've already made up 3 positions on the run down towards turn 2 here. Going to be another chance to try and make up a potential couple of overtakes here. Run a little bit break there, just about getting past Danny Kvyat there as we try to change lanes there, and you see Hulkenberg getting caught out over the curbs. Going to get a nice good run on him here. He gives me a little bit of contact there, another little piece of contact between the pair of us there, and Kvyat goes around his outside there, so even more contact. 3 wide down towards turn 3 here. We're going to be the master of the late breakers there, squeeze them both out to dry there. Kvyat's able to move past Hulkenberg, and we've gone from P18 to P13 in the first few corners of this Grand Prix here. But, you know, the inevitable will probably start to happen nice and soon. The AI are just going to fly back past me. The AI really, quite a good balance at the moment, and the McLaren Honda just so slow, and Danny Kvyat already proving my point there. He's going to dive it down the inside in towards the second to last corner there. A little bit of contact made it between us there as I expected him to turn in a little bit early there, but getting caught way out over that final corner curb there, somehow saving the back end. But that's given me a terrible run. Felipe Massa having a look down the inside on the start of lap 2 here. Going to try and brake a little bit early, but Palmer dives it down my inside there as well. Tiny bit of contact between the pair of us there, but we both come out of that completely unscathed there. But Palmer in the slipstream from Felipe Massa there, able to go right past me there, in that Renault power unit. Not a particularly strong power unit, but relative to the McLaren Honda, it is an absolute breeze as we go 3 wide just there for a split second between the 3 of us once more. Palmer trying to squeeze me to the inside there. Massa trying to make sure that he can make the position stick. Quickest car on the quickest tyres as well, but we're going to dive it down the inside of the pair of them there, locking up the front inside wheel, making a tiny bit of contact with Jolyon Palmer there, but we do hold on to P14 of the Grand Prix for now. Jolyon thinks about diving it down the inside through this horrible turn 4 corner there, but thinks better of it now as we skip on to lap 5 of the race. And the whole, a lot of the rest of the field up front sort of Constantine up behind a couple of, I think it was around about P5 and P6 there, but Jolyon dives it down my inside there, make a little bit of contact with Danny Kvyat just ahead of me there, and we're still side by side with Jolyon there, and he's able to fly past me down towards turn 4 there. Just really proving how poor this McLaren Honda power unit is. We run very, very close to those horrible, dangerous yellow curves through the next couple of corners there. Yellow flags are out now as we see our first retirement of the day there, and unfortunately it's no one ahead of me there. It was unfortunately Marcus Ericsson there retiring from the Grand Prix. That puts me off ever so slightly as we run wide through the final couple of corners there. But we're still within the slipstream and the DRS of Jolyon Palmer here, and we can't really think about attacking. All we can try and do is work on defending from Felipe Massa here, who is just behind me. But we get a good run through turn 1 here, and turn 2 I seem to be able to brake a lot later than most of the field, probably because I'm usually going a lot slower up towards the top of the hill there. We're going to dive it down the inside of Palmer and Danny Kvyat there, going for a double overtake there, squeezing out Kvyat all over the curbs on the exit of the corner there, and we now move back up into P13 of the Grand Prix here, and Max Verstappen is the next car ahead of me there, so quite clearly the Red Bull driver isn't having the best start to his day. But now skipping on to lap 11, and a couple of drivers, it is now the pit stop phase of this Grand Prix here. Jolyon Palmer tries to dive it down the inside there. We try to hold it right around his outside in towards the second to last corner there, but he parks it on my inside there. A couple of drivers, as you would have seen, diving it into the pit lane there. Palmer able to hold it right around my outside there. Hulkenberg trying to now have a look down the inside there, just trying to give it a little bit on the brakes there and go for a bit of a switchback move there, but unfortunately that was not able to work out there. But we still hold on to P13 of the Grand Prix for now here. You can see we've now got Danny Kvyat on the set of ultra soft tyres, thinking about going for a move down my inside there. I nearly lock up into the back of Nico Hulkenberg there, but we hold it quite nicely in at P13 for now, and just a couple of laps later, and we are now starting to have a little bit of issues with much quicker cars. Daniel Ricciardo right behind me here, obviously already made his first pit stop of the race there, so he's going to just fly past me down in towards the final couple of corners there. No real point in me trying to defend from him there. You know, he's just such a quicker car, and that, you know, all it's going to do is end up slowing me down way more than it is worth. And you can see we've got Sergio Perez just a little bit further back as well here, but there's a couple of cars leaving the pit lane now, and you know, hopefully we might be able to try and line up a move on them through the exit of turn 1 there, and we do actually come out quite nicely ahead of a couple of drivers there. So we're back up into P9 of the Grand Prix, but Sergio Perez is on the prowl now. Hopefully, you know, we don't try and go side by side with him down Eau Rouge, but he dives it up my inside through the next corner there. Sergio Perez just parking it a little bit on the apex there, being a bit of a pain towards myself there, but he's trying to create a gap between him and Max Verstappen just behind there, as Verstappen now gets a good run out of the third last corner there, down the inside, in towards the second to last there, and he just goes down the inside quite comfortably there. I run into the back of him ever so slightly, but he does now move back up into a points-paying position in this Grand Prix here, and you know, I don't really realistically seeing us score points here. You know, these guys are already a pit stop ahead, but you can see on the inside there, once more, drivers exiting the pit lane here. Romain Grosjean is just about going to come out ahead of me here. We're going to duck into the slipstream of the Haas car here with the rich revs, obviously on this older set of tyres. We're going to probably try and be a little bit late on the brakes here. Going to dive it down the inside of the Haas car there, making a tiny bit of contact with him, squeeze him out wide over the curbs as best as we can there. But Grosjean, you know, we've got the DRS, he's got the slipstream, and he's just going to be able to fly back past me there. It gives me a little bit of a punt there. Clearly not happy with my overtaking manoeuvre just before there, you know, sort of slowing him down just a bit. But, you know, we sort of also want to enjoy our own race just a little bit as well there. But Grosjean back up into P10, and now moving on to the end of lap 21 here, and it's time for us to now dive into the pit lane, move on to a set of the ultra soft tyres, and hopefully try and take ourselves to the very end of the Grand Prix there. And hopefully it should be a fairly textbook stop, opting to change my front wing as well, as we had a tiny bit of damage after I think we ran into the back of Danny Kvyat earlier on, as you will have seen there. But onto a set of the ultra softs, new front wing as well, and unfortunately, you know, we have been jumped by near enough everybody here in the Grand Prix. Pascal Wehrlein, I think, is going to fly down the pit lane sooner rather than later there, and down into P19 of this Austrian Grand Prix we go there. Really, really not what we wanted in this race, and I think it sort of just shows how poor this McLaren Honda is really performing at the moment there. Valtteri Bottas goes ahead to lap me here, and I thought at this moment in time, you know, Valtteri Bottas probably a good driver. You know, we can sort of just try and stick behind him here, try and go for a Max Verstappen-esque Monaco-style form of attack to try and close back up to Pascal Wehrlein here. And at the end of lap 22, Bottas and myself caught up to Wehrlein there. He's very slow through the final couple of corners here. Wehrlein pulls to the inside. I'm going to go even further to the inside there. 3 wide for just a split second once more there. But I've been able to do a bit of a Verstappen-esque move on Pascal Wehrlein there. Back up into P18 of the Grand Prix here. And I think now, you know, the aims really should sort of be to get up to P17 and beat my teammate there. Nico Hulkenberg with issues, so we're going to be able to move back past him up into P17 now. And Van Dorn in the pit lane as well. So back up into P16 we go in the Grand Prix there. And I think really, you know, that's sort of all we can ask for from this Grand Prix. Beat our teammate and achieve the race objective there, guys. And as we skip on to the end of lap 35 here, and now Kimi Raikkonen has once again won another Grand Prix in this career mode. I think that makes it up to 4 for him already in this season. Now, I think we've had 5 or 6 different race winners early on in the series, and Raikkonen has won 4 races by himself there. But unfortunately for me, we did end up 1 lap down to the top runners. You know, not really too surprised around such a short circuit there, guys. But through the final couple of corners we go, and it's going to be P16 there. Not exactly a result to be proud of there, but we actually lose the back end through the final corner there, making a little bit of contact with the wall. Completely lost all concentration there as we wheel spin back up to the line there. P16 in the Austrian Grand Prix. Not exactly a good result.
Great effort there from Ferrari to take the victory today. Tell me, Ant, what was the key to this success?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
So here they come now, out onto the podium. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. It's Ferrari on the top step once more. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings.
But there we are then, guys, the end of the Austrian Grand Prix there. A little bit of a disappointing result, you know. It's sort of a bit inconsistent where, you know, we want to try and fight for points where we can, but those opportunities really do not come around very often. But Kimi Raikkonen won the Grand Prix ahead of his teammate Sebastian Vettel. Lewis Hamilton came P3 with Valtteri Bottas P4 there. The Red Bulls 5th and 6th, the Force Indias 7th and 8th, and then we got the Haas, the Williams, the Haas, and the Williams there to round out the top 12. So a little bit, 6 teams occupying the top 12 slots there. I presume the Toro Rossos are probably 13th and 15th there. So not particularly mixed up field in the end of that Grand Prix there. But P16 on the whole, able to beat my teammate Stoffel van Dorn there. Nico Hulkenberg came all the way down in P19, and Marcus Ericsson was the only driver to end up having to retire from that Grand Prix there. But it's sort of a good thing, you know. This is the first race we've been able to make it to the end since Monaco there, and we sort of really need to be finishing races trying to bag R&D points. You know, the early stages of this career mode are going to be so tough. But having a look at the driver's standings, still holding on to P11 overall. Kimi Raikkonen and Lewis Hamilton are tied at the top there. Sebastian Vettel jumps Max Verstappen there, just 7 points back behind his Ferrari teammate there, with Max Verstappen P4, Valtteri Bottas P5, and Daniel Ricciardo P6. The only change in the constructors' standings was Ferrari taking to the very top overall there, guys. But hopefully, you know, you have enjoyed this video. Do not forget to like, subscribe if you want to see more of my F1 2017 McLaren Honda career mode, and I will see you guys all next time for the British Grand Prix, if I'm not mistaken. But hopefully, yep, I will see you all there.